my name is Shalon, and I'm here to help you find your next favorite book and your next favorite author. And I'm here with Terreece M. Clarke, and she is a best-selling author and journalist whose romances center smart women experiencing extraordinary love. Her newest release, The Six Loves of Ebony Jones, is a rom-com that will have you cackling out loud and relating to the main character's growth as she unpacks her role in her past relationship failures. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I would love to start with just what first sparked your love of storytelling?
Oh gosh. I've been thinking about it. So I put my first play on in second grade at St. Anne's in Toledo, Ohio. I cannot believe the nuns let me do it. But I was also the kid that got talks too much on my report card. So I
Uh,
think as long as it was keeping me busy, they were like, cool. Uh,
yeah.
but I put on my first play and it was kidnapping and angst and all of these things. And, for a while now, I've been like, where did all that come from? And then I remembered every day from what, noon to like 4, the soap operas. My granny watched Young and
Mm.
Restless, Guiding Light, Bold and
Hmm.
Beautiful. So that's what I grew up on. And I've always had, this just voracious reading. I'll read anything you put in front of me and stuff that I'm not supposed to be reading. So all of that kind of came together. Um, that really gave me a chance to kind of express myself and explore the worlds that I see inside my head. I was a sickly kid. I have asthma, and so while everybody else is running around and having fun in the wintertime, I'm in the library with the nuns because I can't go outside because of the cold air, and then the
Mm.
summertime I'm sitting on the porch. So all I really had was my books to keep me company, and it just kind of spilled over from that, and I've been doing it ever since, whether journalism to writing romance now.
That's amazing. There has to be something about why all of the grandmas and great grandmas were into the soaps because we were a days of our lives household.
Okay, yeah. I discovered that in college. That was what my
Yeah.
roommates were on. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something about that kind of storytelling where it's very dramatic. Like there's something
Yes.
always happening
Yes.
and like they leave you hanging so you have to keep watching and then it's 2 hours later and the next day months later.
Yes. Right. Right. And you can't believe this happened. And even if
Mhm.
you go away for months, so you come back, they're going to rehash it for you in a way. So
Mm.
you're never too out of touch. Um, I just saw someone posted a clip from Young and the Restless on TikTok, and Malcolm, I guess, has discovered he has a son from Young and the Restless, and everybody in the comments was like, "Man, I wish my granny was alive so I could tell her Malcolm got a son."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
Like, you know, you
definitely
picked the wrong time
generational.
to die.
Yeah. Right, definitely generational storytelling of like
Yes.
people growing up with people and then they're still on the show or they pop back in.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. For you mentioned about creating a play and the nuns allowing you to do what was do you remember the topic of the play?
No, I remember there were kids, and I think they were on some kind of mystery. There was
Mm.
kidnapping. We got to run through the coat room and back because it was a high speed chase. And they let I was in second grade. They let the other second grade class come in and watch the play too. It was like I had costumes. It was a whole thing, and it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized how cool that was. That they kind of
Mhm.
encouraged that and was like, you know, yeah. I mean, as long as you're doing it on your own time and you're getting your work done, which I was
Yeah.
one of those kids. I get the work done and then I'm bored, so let's have a conversation. But instead, I'm writing out this play, and back then, there wasn't photocopy, it was carbon copy paper.
Mm, mhm.
So I'm like using the carbon paper to make out the scripts for everyone. We had rehearsals at recess. I mean, I had a ball.
Ah,
I
you had
had
a
a
production.
ball. Yes, it was a whole thing. And I'm just so surprised that they would let me do that. And they read it in advance. So, I mean, they knew what was going on and everything. But yeah,
I love that.
I
And then
hope that everyone gets that encouragement, for the things that they're really, really interested in.
yeah, definitely having the support and then also the leeway to just like, let's just see what they do. Let's just let them go ahead
Right.
and get it done. Yeah. I love that. And then you mentioned about being a voracious reader and like really being absorbed into stories and reading across genres. What would you name as like some of your literary influences, just based on the things you gravitated to as a child, but then as you grew as well?
Oh, um, so favorite kid book was Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel
Mm,
Silverstein.
mhm.
Um, and influences, second grade again, I was reading Color Purple.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, again, anything I can find, and especially if I had no business reading it.
Mhm,
Someone had, I guess, gotten the book from a sibling, an older sibling. The first page, it starts off with, wow, for a second
mhm.
grader especially. And I remember lying. I was like, oh yeah, my mom said I could read this. She had no clue. She had no clue. As long as I was reading, she was fine, have fun, go at it. Um, and oddly enough, the encyclopedia, because my mom bought one of the sets of encyclopedias when I was a kid.
Mm,
And as much money as those things cost,
yes.
any question I ever had, anytime I was bored, go read the encyclopedia. So I got to, read about different places and spaces and people. And, um, that's also something that like piques that imagination and everything.
Mhm,
B.D. Moore Campbell was huge for me.
mhm.
V.C. Andrews, again, the drama,
Yes.
the
Yes, Miss
inappropriate
Andrews loves
incest.
the drama. She
Oh my God.
the twists.
The plot twists.
Ugh.
Again, if folks knew what we were reading, but it had kids on the
Yeah.
cover, so I actually picked up one at a library sale. It was a library copy of one of the first series. It wasn't Flowers in the Attic. It was like one of the ones after, and I'm like,
Mm,
oh my God, 50 cents, yeah, I'll take it. So it's on my bookshelf. Let's see, Alice Walker, Gloria Naylor.
mm,
So it's always been, now that I think about it, it's besides like Baldwin, it's always been Black female driven authors.
mm,
Um,
mhm.
oh, and Steven Spielberg. I read The Stand when I was like too young to be reading The Stand. But my mom is huge into Stephen King and mysteries and that sort of thing and
Mm,
horror.
mhm.
So I was like, it's a book. It
Yeah,
took me a minute to get through it.
I was definitely reading Dolores Claiborne before I had
Yes.
any business. And
Yeah.
carrying all that. I was like, I don't even know what drew me to the book, but I was definitely captivated
Mhm.
just with the
Yeah,
storytelling and trying to peel back the layers and everything.
exactly, and his descriptions are so detailed sometimes. My daughter, middle baby, has started reading Stephen King because my husband likes Stephen King as well.
Mm,
And we always recommend The Stand, because it's
mhm.
just, really, really expansive and everything. And she's like, it's been 10 pages and we're talking about this person's shirt still.
Mhm. Yep.
They don't even have a name. And Dave was like, and they're not even the main character. So it was like, what are we doing?
Right. But you're gonna know everything about it by the
Every
time we finish this
last.
section. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I think, and I know he's brilliant in his own way. and everything. But
Mhm.
sometimes I think he's like, I feel like, so many different words, word counts. Like if I hit this word count, I'm
Ah,
gonna get
yeah.
paid this much. So instead of putting very, very, varies in, he's like, I'm just gonna describe the hell out of this t-shirt.
Mhm.
And you're
Yes,
like,
definitely.
maybe I'm missing it. Maybe there's, some deeper symbolism. Maybe this is gonna come back later. No, he just really wanted to tell you about this t-shirt. He just wanted
Yeah.
you to picture it.
Yes, definitely. It's
So
like
it is
his
hilarious.
artistic expression. It's like, "This is the way I
Yes.
wanna present my stories, and either you're gonna like it or you're not,
Or
and that's
not.
okay."
Yep.
Mhm.
And once you put the art out there, it's no longer yours anyway. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it cracks me up, and which that was her first reaction. We were like, "Oh well, yeah." I was like, "But keep going." She was like, "Why are we getting to the pants next?" I was like,
That is
You
funny.
might. I can't remember."
It's possible. It's definitely
It's
possible.
possible.
Yeah, I know you're also a journalist. So,
Yes.
how did your curiosity and like love of stories, how did that
Hmm.
translate into getting into journalism?
So even though I loved to write and I loved telling stories and that sort of thing, I never saw myself as in writing as a viable avenue for a living. Little black girl from Toledo, Ohio. You think about the great American novel, you're not thinking about initially
Mhm,
women like me. I didn't see it. So it was, the great American novelist is white and male, at least back when I was growing up.
mhm,
So, and again, from Toledo, very practical set of folks. My granny always encouraged, you need to become a nurse or work in the jails because people are always going to be sick and
mhm,
they're always going to go to jail.
mhm,
And so I knew I couldn't do that, but
mhm,
I saw journalists on TV that looked like me, and they got to tell stories and meet people and investigate things, and I was like, okay, well that's pretty cool. I think I'd like to do that. And at first I was going to go into broadcast journalism, but I really liked the idea um, of from working on the student paper, like that one-on-one interaction that's off camera,
mm,
and the level of research that you get to do, and crafting that story without having to boil it down to sound bites. You
mhm,
can really sit into the article. Um, and so I really liked that. So I switched over to that, and it was great. It's been great.
mhm,
I didn't stay in corporate media for long.
mhm, mhm,
Because they had a very specific beat in a very specific angle,
mm,
and I really felt like there was more to the people that they were covering than the tragedies that were befalling them.
mhm,
Um, and there was more to those people, of course, it looked like me, than just their tragedies, and that
mhm,
there were stories that we were missing and not covering, but they weren't interested in it. So I was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. So I went freelance, and I've been doing it ever since. Um, and like I said, I love it. I don't do it as often anymore, because the books and everything are really taking up a lot of my time. But anytime I can get a chance to kind of, dust off the computer, get my little spyglass on, hop into the LexisNexis and try to figure out what's going on. I really
mhm,
do enjoy that. I enjoy being able to tell stories about people whose voices not only are not amplified, but they're often silenced,
mhm, mhm,
and overlooked and talked at and about, but never to. So, yeah, it's just that I wanna know why. I wanna know why, I wanna know who, I wanna know, what you thought about this, and did you connect this to that, and with this person over here. So it's
mhm,
to me, it's almost like a living puzzle, or, kinda sorta like a choose your own adventure situation, you know what I mean? Because
mhm,
there's so many ways that you can come at a specific story, and there's so many things that you can bring into it. It's almost I end up with way more research than ever makes it
Mm-hmm.
to articles or books. So just stacks of stuff, and unfortunately way too much like random information running around in my head, just factoid upon factoid. So
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you still wanted to like hone in on like your curiosity and like love of
mhm,
writing, but just wanted
mhm.
to go into a way where you felt like at least I could make a living in this this
Yes,
direction, but
yes,
still bringing all of that passion into it
yes.
as you were crafting any articles that you were
Mhm.
making as well.
And it was helping people, you know what I
Mhm,
mean? Even if I couldn't, my job wasn't to solve the problems. And as heartbreaking as that can be, um, just knowing that someone sees you
mhm,
and that they care enough to figure out, to at least sit with you and learn more about you. So you become more than that figure, more than that statistic, those stories, you know what I mean? The
mhm,
stereotypes.
mhm,
Um, I could, like I said, I can't solve the problem, but I can help in the ways that I can help.
mhm,
And I feel I've always felt like duty bound to um use what I can to either amplify folks and give them a platform, or, act as a bullhorn for them, or at least take their information and interpret it um, so that people receive it.
mhm,
And whether it's through my stories, my novels, or through the articles, um, it's helpful when you know your audience,
mhm,
and then you can craft a story to where they're open for it. And I think a lot of times, especially on the journalism news side, so much stops the understanding and
mhm,
the empathy before you even get to the story. So much judgment happens,
mhm,
in a blink of an eye, whether it's the, article title, or the pictures associated with it, or the parties involved. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Um, so sometimes you need help from someone else to tell that story, and to get out what it is that is really the heart of the matter when it comes to your own life. So, in some small way, over the last many years, more than more than I thought, as I think of it, I'm like, oh my God, it's been decades. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, child, we're getting old. I hope that I've made a difference, you know?
mhm.
So, yeah, I wish I could quit it. There are more profitable ways to earn money.
Mhm.
And I've done a variety of things, but it all, as I used to think I was, extremely unfocused and uh kind of flighty. But that was also kind of labels that I took on that other people gave to me.
Mm,
But I have a really great friend. He's also an executive coach. And we were having a conversation, and he was kind of laying it out. He was like, so you've done this, and you did this, and you did this, and you did this. He was like, it looks like you're all over the place, but if you step back, all of it is storytelling. No matter what it is
mhm,
that you've been doing, whether it's marketing or graphic design, your articles, your books, your all of that, still you're telling stories. And I was like, oh.
mhm.
Was there a method to the madness? Oh my God. So
Yeah.
yeah. It was like as soon as you get comfortable with the idea of who you are, all of this makes sense. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, well shit. I wish you had said that 10 years ago. Because you spend a long time, especially when you've taken on other people's opinion of yourself, you spend
Mm,
a long time unpacking that later. You know what I mean? Because you spent so much time believing it, it's there. You know what I'm saying? So, life. I guess if we got it all right the first time, it'd be over quick.
Right. And it would probably be pretty boring as well. It's
That's
like, oh
true.
yeah, everything's figured
That's true.
out. Everything is
Exactly.
perfect. It's like
And
that's just not how things go.
it's all gonna work out. You have to believe
Mhm.
that while you're in the middle of, oh my God, what the hell is this?
Yes.
What am I doing? But yeah, so I try to quit every so often. I quit, I go back to corporate. I last a year before I'm ready to like commit violence upon myself or anyone else. It's so bad. It's so
Mhm.
bad. I'm like, oh my God, I can't stay at a place more than a year. But also, I just spent the last 6 months putting in numbers in a spreadsheet,
Mhm.
thinking there has to be more to life than this. There are some people who that is a joy. They love, and I love a good spreadsheet. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
A well done spreadsheet is sexy. But I don't necessarily want to be the person putting in the numbers all day, every day. That is
Right.
not my calling.
Right.
So I quit and I go back to the pimp. that that is for the most part really good to me. But there are times, child, I'm ready to throw the keyboard and just I don't know, take feet pics.
Well, it definitely sounds like you brought some of those experiences to Ebony's story. And she
Yes.
and she's a journalist, and
Yes.
she's at a bit of a crossroads, like, in her career, and then also
Yeah.
trying to think of her relationships.
Right.
Um, and I'm not a journalist, I don't know exactly all that's entailed, but I love being
Mm.
able to, like, dive into how, like, stories are crafted in that way, but then
Yeah.
also she gets, like you said, you sometimes you need folks that will help you, so she gets some help from a certain photojournalist who ghosted
Yes.
her. Right.
Mr. Malcolm and his tattoos and muscles.
Right, right. So I just really enjoy that story, and
Oh,
it's
yay.
also amazing that it was also featured in Kenny Ryan's newsletter. So hopefully that gets some extra eyes on Ebony and
I
Malcolm.
I don't know if you can swear on Substack, but I lost my stuff. I was like, "Oh my God." At first, honest to goodness, she was like, do you have a universal link? I'm gonna put you in my newsletter. Instant like, and then I was like, tell her no. Tell her not this book. No, I'll write a better
No,
book. I'll write a better book. Not this book. I'll
no,
do a give me a year. Give me a year.
no. This is the book.
this
This is the
this is
book.
me and my process, right? And then that other part of your brain is waits for you to finish the little freak out. And
Mhm.
it's like, no way in hell, go get the link and send it to the woman.
Yes.
So, and I tell my kids, I told my husband, he was looking at me like, get to the part where you sent the link.
Right. We're not gonna play this game. Go ahead.
I was
Go
like,
ahead.
the first thing I thought was like, I can't go back and tell this man I told this woman no.
Absolutely not.
I can't,
No.
I can't, I can't. And I was telling my kids, and they're like, Mom, oh, you're just did you send it? Did you send it? Like, who do you think you are? Talking to me like that. Well, somebody needs to, because what are you always saying to us? I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, be prepared. Go for it, even if you're scared.
No, I think Ebony's story is a perfect book to feature because
It's fun.
we're definitely overall lacking in representation of rom-coms, as if
Yes,
like nobody enjoys them, but I'm like, they're
right.
so fun. Like, you have
They
the
are. And
comedy
sometimes, yeah,
elements, and then
we need that
the
lightness.
romance, and you have like a good mix. Like, there was definitely moments where I had to just put it down because I was just laughing so hard. I'm like, what is right from the beginning? I'm like, what
Oh
is
my
going
God, yes. That man.
yeah, and just to provide context
Yes.
about the story. So, Ebony, like you mentioned, is a journalist, and she's
Mhm.
currently a little bit at a crossroads as far as her career is concerned. She's been dating, things have been going horribly. And
Yeah.
she accidentally goes viral when she's like, venting about dating and all of that. So because of that, she's presented with an opportunity to basically go back through her dating history and chronicle the loves that defined her.
Yeah.
And she interviews her exes, which I would love to know how that came to be because oftentimes people are like blocking folks and it's like, actually, I never want to talk to
And
you again.
and she did. She had to go through and unblock everyone.
Right. Right. And as she's doing that, the catch of it is it's like it could be a great opportunity, but she has to work with a former vacation fling who ghosted her.
Yes.
So you have the tension between them and then her
Yeah.
unpacking like what happened. So I would love to know just like the inspiration for Ebony and then also for this story.
The title came first.
Mm,
The title came first. I get book titles. I don't know, like people get story ideas. I get the title
mm,
often before anything else, and I'm like, "Oh man, that's a really good title." So I wrote it down in my notes app, and then forgot about it. And I was going through my notes app looking for something else, and
mm,
came across it, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah, that is a really good title. What would Ebony Jones be doing, and why does she have 6 loves?"
mhm,
And so I just kinda, the who, what, where, why, and hows.
mhm.
Um, and it was, okay, she's, revisiting old boyfriends. Well, why would anybody do that? And so I was like, it doesn't, because my previous series is romantic suspense.
Mhm,
Um, and so that title and the vibe and everything did not feel like she was going through her past loves because somebody's after her or
mm,
anything like that. I
mhm,
was like, okay, so it's not romantic suspense. It kind of feels like a rom-com. And I had done one other rom-com, which was my Christmas novella.
mm,
Um, and my funny stories tend to be palate cleansers for me,
mhm,
because I write romantic suspense on the other side. And they're, soap opera. They're, high
mhm,
angst and high heat, and somebody's gonna get shot or killed or whatever. There's
mhm,
definitely gonna be some hospital bedside sitting, and some tears. Like, I put you through it. It's still
mhm.
romance, happily ever after, and all that, guaranteed. But I'm gonna make you hurt first. So the Courageous Love series is so much of that, and with everything that's going on, and my husband actually has end-stage renal disease, so he's on dialysis and on the transplant list, and there's just so much kind of in real life angst. I
Mhm,
needed something lighter,
mhm.
and as I was doing part one of Breathless, because it ends on a cliffhanger, I'll never do that again. The readers, they were going to kill me. I was like, yeah, this will
Yeah.
be fun.
Mm, mm, mm.
Not on this side. It is not fun. It is not fun. I was like, okay, I will. I got it. I heard you. Like, checking my door before I leave, because
Oh,
it got wicked, girl. I was like, oh shoot. But the more I was working on Breathless, the more Ebony Jones and her care, the loves and her
no.
family and all of that were chit chatting and causing ruckus, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get to that.
Mhm,
So it kind of unfolded from the title first, and then trying to figure out, why in the world would she track down her former loves? And I was like, well, let's give her a secret baby. And I'm like, no, I don't think that'll work. And so I
mhm,
kept going, like flipping through my notes and everything, and I came across the Holiday Sisters. And so they weren't initially together.
oh, okay.
But I was like, you know what? She could be a holiday sister. She's Ebony. then let's make her born on Juneteenth,
Mhm.
and we kind of, I just sat there and kind of talked through it with my poor husband, who hears like all of these kind of incomplete thoughts, and then one full thought. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's good," and then I go back to the incomplete. I'm like, "You just have to sit here and nod, just nod, like, oh,
Yeah.
uh, and then when I have it, then we'll make it a whole thing."
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it was just I needed something lighter. I thought people would enjoy something lighter right now. Um, just a nice, fun, summer, sexy, I'm always gonna bring you I am an open door romance girly,
Mhm.
um, to the point where, like, you're on the bed with binoculars, you know what I'm saying? You're in it.
We
Because
we
I'm
know all the
nosy.
pretzels that are twisting in the
Right.
story.
I'm nosy. I wanna know, so Imma let you know just in case you wanted to know, you know what I'm saying? And if you
Yes.
didn't, you know now. So it was I was excited to write it, and it was nice having so much fun. I still boohooed. Because if
Mhm.
you are upset or laughing or any of the emotions you experience when reading my books, know that I have felt those same.
Mm.
So even though I know what's gonna happen, I'm still crying about it. So, when things weren't going so great, towards the end of the book,
Mhm.
that was like, "Oh my god. Oh, turn around." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I
So
was a little stressed. I'm like, I know
yeah.
they're gonna figure it out, but why?
Always a happily ever after, always.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah, you don't feel it getting there. So,
Mhm.
I hope I didn't put you through too much.
I survived,
Yeah.
and lived to tell the tale.
Right.
No, I really enjoyed how you balanced the story because it could have
Mhm.
leaned very comedic and then felt like a little bit where I couldn't like get to know Ebony as a person. But since there's so
Yeah.
many opportunities for introspection on her part, and then
Yeah.
you also have Malcolm like thinking through things as well, like you
Yeah.
definitely feel like you know them as characters.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then also the supporting characters were also really fun too. So especially
Yeah.
the Juneteenth birthday celebrations.
Friend. So that's off of my childhood. When we got together, we always said the Bournes, that's that side of the family,
Mhm,
did not need anybody else to come to the house for a party. There was enough of us, and if there was more than two, it was a party already.
mhm,
So I mean, and then my family, it's crazy now, but they were a young family, so we were doing things like, family volleyball games and skating out in the street, like the adults and
mhm,
everything. So be from fish fries to you name it. And like I said, it didn't have to be a holiday, it didn't have to be anybody's birthday. Literally, it could be a Tuesday afternoon, somebody was off work, somebody else stopped by. Next thing you know, then call six other folks. And it's on,
mhm,
So I miss that part.
mhm, mhm.
I live in Columbus now, which is not that far away, but the dynamic is different.
Yes. Mhm,
Um, so I miss that. So this was a chance to kind of get back into that whole family vibe where everybody is in your business, and they love you, but they're just really, like Ebony says, just overly involved in each other's lives.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes that spill over into other folks' lives. So now they in folks' business they're not even related to.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was that was definitely drawn from just childhood on through early adulthood of having those big family get-togethers and the shenanigans. And I mean, there's even, I had to put a random baby on a bed
Yes.
because there literally was always a random kid
Mhm.
in somebody's bed. So yeah, it was I had fun kind of revisiting that, and I threw in some family names and stuff. So it was really, really cool. I had fun writing it, and I needed to have fun.
Mhm. Yeah, you could definitely. tell in the writing, just the way
Mm.
like certain scenes
Yay.
were captured. And then if we I'm like, let me stay spoiler free about
Okay.
about the, as much as possible
Right,
about
right.
the birthday celebration, the cookout, because I love that because you get to see how the characters interact with other characters that haven't been presented yet. But then
Yeah.
also, it is also family mess that is happening as well,
Yeah.
in addition to
Always.
other things. So,
Yes. Always. There's always something
yeah.
going down.
Hmm. So, and I loved that. And then I'm going to assume, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that
Mm.
another holiday sister will be coming. So potential next,
Yes.
so you
Well, we
get a
have
chance to
several to
see
pick
them.
from.
Yes.
Yes, we have several to pick from.
Yes.
They are all going through transitions in their lives at points where they thought they would be settled.
Mm, mhm,
So, and what does that look like? I think if it wasn't Faith, it was Joy. It was Faith who was like, this all of this is going on, and she doesn't have a plan. She's
mhm,
too old not to have a plan.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I think we have all felt that at one moment or another, that we thought at certain ages or at certain points in our career or at certain points in our relationships, we would have it all figured out.
mhm,
And surprise, surprise, life turns, plot twists, and we get these rough rebirths and new starts,
mhm,
and like we don't stop renewing, hopefully, until we leave here.
mhm.
So yeah, I have several more coming. I have learned through my first series that I am not announcing anything anymore until it is done and
Yes.
sitting pretty. Because of the way life moves, if things
Mhm.
have to change, folks get in your behind, and I just don't need that level of accountability. I'll be honest.
It's like you'll get something when you get it,
You
and
will
that'll
get
be
it when
that.
you get it, and it'll be awesome, and we'll have
Yes.
a good time, and you'll be
Mhm.
happy for it. But that's undue pressure on me, on
Mhm.
myself. I do it to myself. No one is coming in my house, you know what I mean, and kicking in the door like, December, you're gonna have a book done,
Right.
And so, but when I started this, I didn't write Heartbeat. That's the first book, romance book that I wrote. I didn't write it because I wanted to, do romance. I wrote it because the characters would not leave me alone. And I
Mm.
know to some folks that sounds a little ooh, but it's true. Like, I mean, those times where you roll open over at night and you're kind of sort of awake, sort of asleep,
Mhm.
the characters are talking and having these scenes. I'm in the shower. They're, the dramatics or the heat. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I'm like, I don't, I'm not a fictional writer in that sense. I was, heavy into my journalism,
Mhm.
heavy into, some of the like corporate contract stuff that I was doing. And I had written a children's book that had done really, really well. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
well, this is a nice, I get to be a little bit creative over here and I get to do this, but then I get to be boss chick over there. It was a
Mhm.
nice
Mhm.
little, so what all of this was, I had no idea. But it was driving me crazy. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just get a notebook and be like Toni Morrison and write it out longhand,
Mm.
just, write it out, write the words out of my head. But I'll, just for, cosplay as Toni Morrison for a little bit. Um, and that started in June. And by the end of the summer, I had 6 notebooks of cosplaying as Toni Morrison. I was like, oh, okay, I might have something.
Yes. Yes. 6 notebooks of something.
6 notebooks of something. It
Yeah.
feels like you should do something with that something.
Mhm.
And I still sat on it for a long time. I finished the book 2016, 2017, and it didn't come out until 2022.
Mm. Mhm.
So I just I didn't have the courage. I'm gonna be completely 100%. I just didn't have the courage to put it out there. It's different than writing um, news articles for public consumption because I'm giving you the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can argue until you blue in the face, but I'm giving you X, Y, and Z. I don't write opinion pieces. Um, Straight news.
Mm-hmm.
So basically argue with your mama. I don't know what to tell you. So you may not like the subject and you may not believe the people, but it is I'm just telling you what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of exposure, other than the crazy, every so often kind of loony person that wants to track me down
Mm.
over an article. Ooh, um, it I never felt exposed, but when it's fiction, it is coming from you. And it just felt so much more raw and vulnerable. And, what if I put this out and it's ass? you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got this thing that I put out there that, so it took a while to like get the gump up. Um I lost my train of thought, but I don't know how we got on Heartbeat. But yeah, I didn't set out to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't plan a career. I didn't map out how each thing was going to go. And uh, honestly, when I did Heartbeat, it's 555 pages. It's got an embedded playlist. It's got, everything in the front, but the kitchen sink. It's got what, two epilogues and then a bonus epilogue. I really put it all out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I scaled it back because it was like 250,000 words.
Oh,
Like I
wow.
was Stephen Kinging it.
Yes.
And don't nobody need that much detail or work. So I pulled that back some.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot. It feels like she's a thickums. But that was it. I got the voices out. The book was done. I'm going to put it out myself and see how it goes. I get to kind of like, have my fingers in everything and do the
Mm-hmm.
cover and do the this. And that was fun and interesting and exciting. And I put it out and I'm done. Yay. And it was really well received. And I'm like, awesome. I hit all my goals. Cool. And then people were like, what's the next one? And I was like, what do you mean? I just gave you 555 pages. Like, this is it. This is all I got.
Yep.
There's nothing else back here. No, this was a
Mm-hmm.
fluke. But once the idea is out there, then I'm like, well, she does have a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, you learn a lot along the way. I won't say it's an accidental career. I don't want to downplay the work and the effort put into it. It's unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So I set deadlines for myself and pressure on myself to be and have it at this amount of, and I'm looking at the other authors around me, and I don't see them as competition. I see them as inspiration and colleagues, of course. And so I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And oh, I kind of want like that, And
Mm-hmm.
so you're kind of just throwing it all out there together. And I'm like, oh, well, she releases, 2 books every month. And I was like, okay, I can't do that. That's a lot of books. But I can do one every quarter. But I
Mm-hmm.
have not written one book every quarter before.
Right. Yes.
And like I said, Heartbeat, yeah, that was 3 months, but that was the first time. What is it going to be like for the next book and the one
Mm-hmm.
after that? You just don't know. And then you have life moving in between. I've got 3 kids, I've got a husband. Hello, still got to make some money
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
everybody likes lights and gas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Food in the fridge is always
Food in the
helpful as well.
fridge. And they want to eat every day, like several times a day.
Yeah.
Snacks, juice,
Mm-hmm.
child, listen, trips, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
then they had the nerve to, start going to college. Hello, money. So what was supposed to be a year of releasing a book every quarter turned into, shoot, I still have part 2 of Rose. So for 2022, actually today is my book birthday and my author
Oh,
anniversary for Heartbeat.
yay!
January 20 or
Congratulations.
June 22nd. Thank you. Completely forgot about it until like mid-afternoon. I was like, ooh, I should have done something. I'll do it tomorrow. Uh, nobody care but me. Um, or will notice but me. Uh, so now going into this series, I am taking everything that I've learned and hopefully doing it a little better than I did this past.
Hmm.
Um, from like I said, just almost almost everything. I turn into a bear the closer I
Hmm.
get to deadlines.
Hmm.
So I had to kind of reevaluate what that looks like and why that happens. Is this just me or am I doing something that puts undue pressure on me? And then it would be different if it was just me as a bear. But I am a bear among lambs and just people who want to be loved,
Yes.
who have become accustomed to a certain lifestyle of
Hmm.
high, they're not used to
Yes.
disappearing for days, coming out like stumbling to get some more food and disappearing back. So, yeah, I have more books. I said all of that to say I have more books in the series coming.
Hmm.
Um, I will not say when,
Okay.
but they are mapped out for the most part. I got a couple. I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, just some ins and outs. I like to
Hmm.
always add really cool soft hobbies for the men to kind of
Mm.
make them well rounded humans. And that was not my idea. That was actually my husband's idea. Once I got back into reading romance for pleasure, I'm like, oh, you're going to like this book. Read this book and read this one. This one was cool. And,
Hmm.
check out page 75 on that one. And he was like, okay, cool, cool. And then after like two or three, he was like, so do these dudes have any hobbies? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, what do they do when they're not with her?
Mm. Hmm.
I was like, I don't understand. He was like, they're like, babe, they have abs and a black card. And I'm like, do we need something else?
Like they're like some sort of AI bot who like stands in the
Right.
corner until their lady pops in the room.
Basically,
Hmm.
exactly. What do they
Yeah.
call them? NPCs in the video
Yes. Yeah.
games. Yeah. They just wait. They just stand there until she comes up and then they're like, I love you.
Yes. Yeah.
You're everything. I like it. Okay. So, and he was like, well, how would you feel reading a story and that was the woman? And I was like,
Mm.
I mean, I guess. So,
Just has
so
to make sense. Just
you're
has to
looking for
basically
like a
make sense.
whole human? Okay. He was like, what do they do for fun? And I was like, her. I mean, what?
Yes, and
Shoot.
something else.
Right? So I had to start thinking of like, okay, what
Mhm.
do these dudes do for fun? Okay, well, let's make it something more interesting
Mm.
than just, I hunt, I fish, I ride motorcycles. Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
But if you got a, 6'3", super muscular photojournalist who sits there hunched over doing puzzles, you
Mhm.
know, and, and his
With the
dream is to
timer,
be,
with the
yeah,
timer.
with a timer for
Very excited
fun.
about beating his last time. Yes.
Exactly. Like, how random is that? And there really is professional speed puzzling
Mhm.
competitions. So
Mhm.
that was fun to research. Like I said, random facts and that sort of thing. Mike from Heartbeat crochets, so it's always something that is more humanizing, of course, and then also not so stereotypical.
Mhm. Mhm.
So and that kind of reveals some things. Are they quirky? Are they Mike is grumpy, but there's that softness of him crocheting, and then the whys behind they do, why they have these
Mhm.
hobbies and the things that they love to do,
Mhm.
which we would demand for our female characters. So and that makes people love them more. So it worked
Yeah,
out
it did.
because you would have got a bunch of abs.
Just
Bunch of
flexing on the
abs,
side of the road, just waiting.
flexing with a long tongue and long money. I mean,
Right, exactly. I would love to chat a little bit about Ebony and Malcolm as a pair.
okay, yeah.
So, what did you want to showcase in their relationship in
Hmm.
contrast to all of these loves that Ebony is like evaluating and then
Right.
also like coming to terms with like her part in being in the relationships, but then also
Yeah.
how they may have ended as well.
Right. So I wanted it to be funny. I wanted them to have fun.
Mhm.
But I didn't, and Ebony says this, I didn't want to boil her down to a joke.
Mhm.
One, she's a sister. Two, she's plus size.
Mhm.
And it's too easy for that to become we're no longer laughing with you.
Mhm.
Um, and I just I can't do that. Um, so I wanted to show, the fun side of relationships and how you click. Um, Not just in the bedroom and just with those, butterfly, tumbly feelings,
Mhm.
but over joy and over fun. And one of the things that Ebony, you almost can see with her this kind of back and forth, with her trying to find not necessarily I won't say a happy medium, but the right fit. So
Mhm.
she's back in between these different boyfriends, you're seeing, um, the different things that she's getting that she thought she needed, and then, what it looks like when you think you're getting what you need, but it's
Mhm.
either too much or, um, as opposed to Malcolm, who he doesn't have I didn't wanna set him up as the one who has everything that
Mhm.
she was missing. I wanted him to be the really good compliment to her, um, to the point where he saw her, he never thought she was too much,
Mhm.
um, he enjoyed the things about her that made her kinda quirky and funny, but he recognized, the things that, um, I don't know, made her interesting and complicated,
Mhm.
um, while also, still keeping his own, identity and his own things going, um, and I think somewhere in there, um, he points out that she's kind of afraid of learning him,
Mm.
trusting in what it is that they're building because she still has to learn him. So it's almost the better the devil you know than the one you don't.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I wanted him to be a really good compliment, but I wanted him to stretch her and be able to hold her accountable because a lot of times, and it's fun, don't get me wrong, it's
Mhm.
fun for the romance to be something happens, and whether it's a third act breakup or a miscommunication or whatever,
Mhm.
he has to grovel and he has to beg and he's done, he's the one in the wrong, and now she has to decide where she's going to give him a second chance.
Yes.
That's cool. That's fun. I
Yeah.
love a good grovel. Um, but I also like the growth that comes from I love you enough, um, to hold you accountable, and I love me enough to let not do anything just to keep you.
Mhm.
So not let everything that matters to me go
Mhm.
just to keep you. That's really not love, that's not healthy. Um, and, he considers it for a moment like, "Well, maybe, I should just," and it's like, "No, you are allowed to have your boundaries. You are allowed to, even as the male protagonist, you are allowed to and should, um, mirror what it is that how you expect others to treat you
Mhm. Mhm.
and in a relationship. So I like that he challenges her,
Mhm.
because I think she needs that too. We see that in one of the loves where it's just kind of cool and easy. And,
Mhm.
I mean, it's cool. And it's not necessarily, super heated, but it was also basically boring because there wasn't any
Mhm.
challenge there. There wasn't anything that, kind of stretched her and made her grow and made her interested and, you know, the things that we do in regular life.
Mhm.
So yeah, I wanted it to be funny without like devolving into stereotypes or anything. Excuse me. And I wanted her to grow, um and find and meet that person that was the right person for her, not because they were perfect and not because they filled in all the blanks, but because they saw her the way she needed to be seen.
Mhm.
And so she then had to kind of, grab her big girl panties and decide,
Mhm.
are you going to go for what it is that you say you want? Or are you going to, kind of keep doing the same shit
Mhm. Mhm.
and find yourself in the same position 2 years from now,
Right.
blocking people?
Yes. And that's part of why I really enjoyed Ebony as a character because it could have easily been, okay, all of these exes were trash. I'm going
Yeah,
to pretend to talk to them, but I already have my
right.
conclusions about why the
Yeah,
relationships didn't work. But then she has to like really evaluate what what am I looking for? And then
right.
also how is my approach to relationships, whether they're romantic or with the other holiday sisters?
Hmm.
How
Yeah,
how am I presenting myself in these situations to
yeah,
like actually get the relationships that I want to have, as opposed to being
right.
like woven into a role where it's like, wait, actually, I don't actually want to be the secret
Yeah,
keeper or the one who's like having to move this relationship along.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, at first they were all trash. Everybody was trash except for one. Now, if
Mhm.
you've read my previous series, the the one that's one of the ones that's not trash, you'll recognize, and you'll be like, "Oh my god!" So that was a little Easter egg for folks who from the former series.
Mhm.
Um, but initially, no, they were all just. I mean, they were pretty stereotypically trash.
Gotcha.
I mean, like tie you to the railroad tracks
Oh no.
level trash. And I was like, this doesn't feel funny.
Mm.
This doesn't feel realistic in a way. Now, she could actually choose trash every single time,
Mhm.
but that's a uh, that's more of a bigger issue than what she was dealing with in the story.
Mhm.
Like for them to be just doggone that awful. Like you're a journalist and you don't know people. You can't, you know what I mean? Like you,
Yes. Yeah.
so it would have made her honestly look like a fool
Mhm.
and kind of terrible at her job. I wanted it to be she's good at what she does, um, but she can be a bit of a mess. She's in transition, which is messy.
Mhm.
Um, and she doesn't have it all figured out. Um, we have a lot of really great romances, and I read too much. I really have things I could be doing. Um, but we, as especially as Black women, we've kind of gotten into so many of the romances. Now there's 1,000 of every kind
Mhm.
every day that come out. But sometimes you'll feel as if, I'll put it that way, sometimes you'll feel as if all of our stories are Black women who have it all together and all they need is the right man.
Mm. Mhm.
And I didn't want that to be like that for Ebony because a lot of us do not have it together.
Mhm.
And we need a good man. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's not a just insert guy in the slot B and now
Mhm.
everything's awesome. So yeah, I really just I wanted to make sure she still had that she kept her humanity and
Mhm.
she kept her ability, excuse me, to be dynamic and layered
Mhm.
and um complicated and still be, a wonderful, beautiful black woman, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't want people to feel like you've got it all, you have to have it all together in order for the right love to find you or for you
Mhm.
to find the right love.
Mhm.
I want people to realize you can still be trying to figure some stuff out and happen upon or actively engage in this gift that you're given.
Mhm. And also, one thing that was clear is she
Mhm.
definitely was desired in all of the loves, whether they worked out or not.
Yes.
They
Yes.
wanted some Ebony. So that was not a question. So that's also a thing of like you don't
Yes.
have to have it all together to be
No.
desirable either.
Oh,
So
no. I don't
mhm.
know. Homegirl was high, and she
Yeah.
knew how to do the things, okay? Pum pum pop.
Right.
And they liked it.
Exactly.
They
Yes.
liked it a lot. But that doesn't, that can only get you so far.
Mhm.
So, and and then she kinda, kinda had this little struggle with that. It's like, "Okay, well, is that all you see me as?"
Mm.
And,
Mhm.
kinda embracing that. I like that she embraces her sexuality.
Mhm.
And I like that she kinda looked at looked at it and kinda evaluated, like, what is it that you see of me? And, it wasn't kinda, it was heartbreaking to me for her to realize, what some of the loves kinda boiled her down to.
Mm. Mhm.
And I really liked how, though, others reinforced that she was more than that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, because you can, yes, you need to have your own self-esteem and, believe in yourself and do the affirmations and know who you are. But it's really, really nice for someone on the outside to say, these fools are wrong. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, they were all trash at first. It was pretty hilarious. I was like, this feels like a man bashing book.
Right. Need to
I think it
rein
was
it in a little bit.
it was you know
Some of
what?
these.
It we had the conversations a lot in my house about the podcast dudes.
Ah,
So I
yeah.
think that had been spilling over. I was like, okay, not
Okay.
every dude has a podcast mic.
No.
So let's bring it back in.
Mhm.
It'll be more interesting that way.
Yeah.
More complex, more
Mhm.
realistic. So, yeah, it was almost just full on like 300 pages of that he ain't shit. And this one is.
Right.
But then, then it wouldn't make any sense because why are you hesitating? Why are you having any kind of second
Yeah.
thought?
Right. Right.
So, but yeah.
Too funny. How do you want readers to feel after reading Ebony's story?
Um, I want them to laugh. I want them to feel like they got a complete story.
Mhm.
I want them to feel like I love it when readers say they either kinda slow down the last parts of the book, um, or they kinda wish they hadn't read through so fast because they missed the characters. I love that, um, because they become real to you. You're, like, immersed in their lives, and you can see and hear her dad talking Mr. Randolph is wild. You can see in all of these characters and you feel like you've been a part of them for whatever length of time. So I like that, kind of don't want to let them go. But I want people to feel like they had a good time, um, that they feel bookly satisfied, and that when you get finished with a book and you go now, Kennedy Ryan writes a book, you close it and you go, oh, and you stare at the wall for a little bit, like you gotta. This is not one of those books. You close the book, and I want you to go, girl, you got to read this because you're gonna say that with Kennedy, but first you got to like your whole. She be shifting your world, man. She be shifting your world and altering your brain chemistry. So you need that kind of time. Mine, this book is a turn around and pass it to your girlfriend kind of book. So yeah, I want them to have fun, and I want them to feel fulfilled and feel like they got to share it with somebody. And I want them to feel like they need to leave a review. Leave a review for a sister. It is helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't. I think we don't say it enough. We're like, oh, one way you can help is to review. No, like seriously, we're not kidding. Like, go and review.
Please.
Please,
Yeah.
yeah, nobody wants to do the ask like hardcore, like you're selling. But
Hmm.
I'm asking. It's just, it makes life easier. It really does.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. If you're thinking
yeah.
about just like your catalog of work so far,
hmm
and
hmm
you overheard a reader just raving about you as an author, about your work, what three words would you want to hear?
Oh my God. Oh no. Here's the thing. I get extremely embarrassed and self-conscious. I'm working on it, and uh, I am. If you've met me in person, you think, "Oh, what an extroverted, happy chick." I am an introvert. That's expense that I just gave you. That I don't get energy from that. I have like
Mhm.
opened up my heart and pulled out. You know what I'm saying? So, and I say that to say I have a hard time. It's helpful. I love to hear it because I can take those nuggets of
Mhm.
goodwill home on days where writing feels kind of lonely,
Mhm.
and um, have you over commercialized yourself, because you're a business, in addition to a creative, and that can get that can get to be a lot,
Mhm.
and then days that you rather be a business than a creative because it's batshit crazy.
Mhm.
Um, so I have trouble saying that or like thinking about it. Ugh.
Mm.
Um,
Imagine you are on the other side of the building and you just
uh-huh.
random, like it's not a personal
Girl, even
interaction.
even even I know. No, it's
Mhm.
happened. I've been at book festivals and
Mhm.
I'm like, do, and they're like, hey, have you gotten Teresa's book? And I'm like, oh. 'Cause I don't I gotta work on it. Like when
Mhm.
they do the intros, like when you're on a
Mhm.
panel and they're doing the intros and they're like, and Terreece Clarke, and she's a best-selling author, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I've watched other authors and they nod, they look down, they're serious, or they're smiling. And after a while, I was like, okay, this resume is kind of long. Should I put this much in there? Is everybody else's this long? How long do I need to look like? Am I looking humble enough? And how long do I need to look like this? Because now I'm a little uncomfortable. And what do I do with my hands? So, so that question has me doing all of that. So I'm going to try to
Mhm.
be a big girl. Put on my big girl panties. If I was walking through and overheard readers and the three words I would want them to say.
Yeah, the three words you would want to hear, like what you would think
Mm,
like resonates with what kind of work you're putting out in the world.
Mm. I would want them to say layered.
Mm-hmm.
I would want them to say, mm, that it had them kicking their feet. So
Mm-hmm.
feet kicking, if we boil it down to one word. Um, mm, and then two words, unless you put them together. Not many people do, but for them to take my MMC and like, no, that's my book boyfriend. I love it when folks fight over the men
Yes.
that I create, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, that wasn't too bad. I made it through.
Yes, you did a great job.
Girl,
Yes,
yeah. That's
definitely.
that's like one of those you don't describe yourself. They're like, yeah,
No, I
I'm
love
alive.
that,
That's all I got.
and, I definitely need to read the Courageous Love series because I am a fan of romantic suspense, and I think I'm
Oh
ready
yeah.
to get put through it. So I
Yes, I'm gonna put you through, but
yes.
just trust. I believe I am one of those that has. I also am learning, or have learned in the past since I've been writing, that I don't have to respond to everything online.
Mhm,
Especially if I'm not specifically, you know, uh, tagged.
mhm.
But I am one who will lose her shit for 15 minutes for when someone says romance doesn't have to have a happily ever after or a happy for now. I lose it. Like it is a full on rant,
Mhm.
unhinged, like just walking back and forth. I mean, if you ask my kids right now to do the rant, they got it down because them and my husband, at this point, even the cat knows. You
Oh,
know what I'm
no.
saying? And then they will have examples of what is a love story and what is big R romance, and it has to have a happily ever after.
Mhm.
And the Notebook is not a romance. So I don't even know what. Wait a minute, what were we talking about? See, I lost
No.
it. I just
I was just
because
saying that yes.
nobody asks that of
Mhm.
mysteries or
Yes.
political intrigue. You know what I mean? Well, why does the mystery have to get solved? It really doesn't. Some mysteries never get solved. But then you come to romance and it's always like they need to fix us, or they need to find a way to legitimize it. And
Mm.
we are already legitimate. We are already fixed. We got this.
Mhm.
You need to figure it out,
Yes.
child. Anyway, what was the question?
No, I was just saying that I need to dive into your Courageous
Oh
Love
yeah.
series.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll send you the links. I'll send you the
okay.
the links. You don't have to go and buy it or anything. I'll
Oh,
just
no.
review. Yeah, seriously,
Yeah.
I'll send you the links for you to like review copies.
Okay.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Celebrate my anniversary. Yay.
Yes.
I love giving gifts.
Yes.
Ooh,
I
I
would.
should have had a gift ready for your readers. I'll give you a promo code so people can get something off of something.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add it into the description and everything.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect.
yes, and as we're looking forward to what's next, I'm
Yes.
not asking for any dates or anything. I I am not trying to stress any authors out. I want you to have whatever you need, and then
We
I
do
will
it to
be here.
ourselves. It's
I
only
will be
us,
here
especially as
whenever it is
indies.
ready.
Right?
But I know you'll be at the Columbus Book Festival
Yes.
as well. So that'll be a great opportunity for folks to meet you, buy some books,
Yes.
and
It's
then leave
actually gonna be the
reviews.
whole crew of us.
Yeah.
So it's myself, my two daughters have books, and so does my husband.
Oh,
So we
cool.
this year, instead of doing indie author alley, we just got a booth so we could just kind of have Clarke out. So
Oh,
so
yay.
if you've got YA lovers, my middle baby did a YA horror camp
Mhm.
horror book that came out last year. That was a bestseller. Woohoo.
That's
My
amazing.
oldest baby did a nonfiction anthology. Um, it's been out. I think she's doing her 5-year anniversary this year. Yes. So, but that is great for girls. I want to say like ages like middle school to high school.
Mhm.
And then my husband has a book on relationships, and it's got like work pages and stuff. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's the crew. My son will be there doing t-shirts, but I have not gotten, and I don't pressure the kids. They came up with these things on their own.
Mhm.
But he's going into engineering where the girls are into the arts and film and that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
he's going to be logistics.
Oh, cool.
So if you come out,
Love
you can
that.
meet all of us, get all kinds of autographs or
Mhm.
signed books,
Mhm.
and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What's
Excuse me.
the best way, in addition to writing reviews, of course,
Yes.
the best way for readers to support you?
um Telling other people about the books.
Mm.
Word of
Mhm.
mouth is, I can scream into the void and make 1,000 TikToks. We can buy ads and everything, but you trust the people who you already know.
Mhm.
So, word of mouth for books is really a really great way to kind of, give your endorsement, give your support.
Mhm.
And if you love me enough, or love Ebony and Malcolm enough,
Yes.
and you do word of mouth online, that helps my algorithm. So I start
Mm.
showing up in more people's things. So,
Gotcha.
yes, those are really great, easy, free
Mhm.
ways to support authors.
Yes, definitely. Um, and everyone should be reading The Six Loves of Ebony Jones if you are
Yes.
looking for something that again is like funny, but then also has the romance and the growth along the way.
Yes.
Definitely should check that out. And you can explore the rest of Teresa's catalog at her website, terececlarke.com.
Mhm.
And you can go there to see the catalog, purchase books, direct if you
Yes.
can.
There's a higher profit margin.
Yes.
People
To
also want to be
support.
shy, like we're
Yes.
not trying to make money. Oh, I just do it for the love. You're a liar.
Everyone should be compensated for their art. So,
Yes.
in a way that is ethical. So,
Yes.
definitely, you can check it out there. Or you can also read books through Kindle Unlimited.
Yes.
Um, and then if you would like to connect with her on social media to make sure to get updates, we could see whenever the next holiday sister is announced.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely follow her at Terreece on IG, TikTok, and Threads,
Yes.
or Terreece M. Clarke on Facebook.
That's me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate
Thank you for
it.
having me. I really
Yeah.
had a great time. I really appreciate you doing this and supporting us authors and sharing us with your audience. This was really fun. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I hope you have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.